All right, guys, what's going on, everybody? This is Gent716 back here again, and today I want to get to you this breakout series of talking about some of the top breakout players for each and every single team. Again, this could be about some of the most under the radar under the radar type of players that just are not talked about, or maybe players that do have an impact, but they're just not as talked about. They're not as hyped up about. They're mocked very low, or they're players that not a lot of people know about, and people expect them to just be backup players, rotational players, and not have an impact in their team. So we're going to talk about those type of players and why I believe that they will make an impact or a contribution to their team. And again, if you guys enjoyed the series, hit the like button because it lets me know that, hey, you want me to continue to do these type of series. So anyway, we're gonna dive deep into the Georgia Bulldogs, talk about the 5 top breakout players that I think will have an impact, and let's get started. So, number one is Zamir White. Zamir White was the third running back on the team as far as statistics goes. Had over 401 yards, averaged around 5.2 yards per carry, had around 6 touchdowns. Really had his coming up party, in my opinion, in the Baylor game. Again, he showed toughness. He showed grit. He showed heart. That old classic, that old school type of football, that football mentality. Again, I still think that he's still recovering because he did tore his ACL back in 2018. So I think as far as just that breakout speed that you saw in high school, I think you can see a little bit more of that if he can stay healthy for 2020. But a lot of people expect him to be the guy, and I expect him to be the guy. Now, I think for him is that, he's a redshirt freshman, and this is going to be his draft year if he does do really well. Now, can he live up to the expectations of Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Todd Gurley, DeAndre Swift this past upcoming year? That's something that we're going to have to find out about. But one thing we know about Georgia, they love to run the football. It's going to be a little bit different, though, because of Todd Monken and how this offense is going to be completely different from what we see before. It might no longer be the two-headed, three-headed monster like we've seen in the past and just run the football. It might be a little bit more pass-heavy. So hopefully, if he does get his opportunities and he does become the starter, hopefully he can live up to those expectations. But Zeus is my number one guy as being a huge breakout star for the Georgia Bulldogs. Jamie Newman is probably going to be a lot of guys' number one because Jamie Newman, 6'4", 230 pounds, great arm strength, elusive in the pocket, great intangibles, great skill set. And obviously had a big year for Wake Forest as far as his numbers goes, right? Had over 2,800 yards, had 26 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, did have a 60% completion percentage, but that was his first year as the starting quarterback. So now he's transferring to Georgia under a Todd Monken offense. They're gonna run a lot of spread to fit his skill sets. It's going to be a lot different. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a lot different with this Georgia offense. I think the thing for Jamie Newman now is that he has competition now that JT Daniels is the transfer quarterback, right? Now that he's the transfer quarterback, and there's obviously DeJuan Mathis and Carson Beck that are young guys, but talented guys as well. We're going to find out if Jamie Newman can live up to those type of expectations. Now, I believe he can do it. I believe he has the skill set. I believe he has the intangibles needed to be successful as starting quarterback. But obviously the expectation for the Georgia Bulldogs is to win a national championship. That's the expectation now. It's not to win the SEC East. It's not to win the SEC title. It's to win a national championship now. And the question is can Jamie Newman be that guy to lead them to that promised land? My number 3 guy is Azeez Ojulari. Probably butchered that name. But one thing about this kid, guys, is that he led the team in sacks, but he's not talked about a lot because he had around 5.5 to 6 sacks. Right, Georgia was one of the worst teams in the country when it came to getting at the quarterback. He was a very impactful pass rusher coming off the edge. I think this could be his breakout year to not only improve upon those numbers, but to also improve upon in the run department, to prove upon at least shedding the blockers. Just everywhere. I think just everywhere he's going to improve upon his game. Again, he showed a lot of promise. He showed a lot of grit. Again, showed why he has the skill set to be that guy that I believe that he can be a first-round pick. So I look at this kid Azeez, and again, as a redshirt freshman, I look at the impact that he did. I believe he's going to improve upon those numbers. Now, again, Georgia fans know him. Not a lot of people know him, so that's why I have him on this list. So Azeez Ojulari, watch out for this kid. I think that he is definitely going to be a star and could potentially be a first-round pick for the Georgia Bulldogs. Another guy here was a true freshman who had a big year. That was Nolan Smith. Now it's not like he had Kayvon Thibodeau numbers. Not like he put up those 9 sack type of numbers, but he did have an impact, right? Was more of a rotational player coming off the outside edge. Sometimes they would rush him inside. Nolan Smith, man, former #1 recruit according to the 247 composite. Very impactful player, man, especially in the run department, but also what he does best, and that's getting after the quarterback. I think Nolan Smith is going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. He's still growing, by the way, too. So, right, I think that Nolan Smith, after that 1 year as a true freshman, learning this complicated defense, I think Nolan Smith is going to be better than ever, man. I think he's going to show this year why he was the #1 recruit in the country. Not saying he's going to get 10 or 20 sacks, but he's definitely going to improve upon those numbers and could potentially have that breakout year that I just talked about with Ojulari as far as getting after the quarterback. And then we're going to talk about another player, and that is Nakobe Dean. This is my last player right here. Nakobe Dean was one of my favorite recruits during the 2019 recruiting cycle. A lot of speed, a lot of power, but most importantly, man, his IQ, man, his intelligence. Very, very intelligent young man. Was more of a rotational player this year for the Georgia Bulldogs at the weak side linebacker position, but he has an opportunity to be that will, and Monty Rice is probably going to be moving inside at that Mike position. So we could see Monty Rice with Nakobe Dean there, and I think that's probably going to be an even a better pairing than, let's say, like it's probably going to be a better pairing than we saw last year, right? Some people are saying that Quay Walker is going to be playing the will or the Mike. I think Nakobe Dean and Monty Rice, that's going to be the new linebacking core there in the middle. And I think it's probably going to be better because those guys are speedy linebackers. Those guys can get after the run, and they can close those gaps in a hurry. So I love Nakobe Dean a lot, man. Again, I love his speed, love his IQ ability. Again, the intangibles, it's there for Nakobe Dean. And he had 20 tackles last year as a rotational player at the inside linebacking position. I can definitely expect those numbers to go up. Now, again, Georgia loves to rotate their players. They love everybody to play. But I think Nakobe Dean and Monty Rice, those are two players that will have a lot of playing time and is going to accumulate a lot of tackles for the Georgia Bulldogs for this 2020 season and make that defense as nasty as it was last year, if not even nastier than it was last year. So anyway, guys, those are my top breakout players for the Georgia Bulldogs. Again, there are probably other players that I didn't mention, guys like Kendall Milne as a true freshman, right? Right? Who else? Eric Stokes, right? Eric, not a lot of people talk about Eric Stokes. He could have that breakout year. But I really, really love these type of players. And again, I see that these players have the most upside, almost anybody in the country or anybody for this Georgia Bulldogs roster right now. But yeah, in the country as well, because these guys are really, really talented, either former 5-star players, or these are guys that are just extremely talented, but they're just waiting in the books. They've been waiting their turn, and I do believe that this is going to be their year to be potential breakout players for this team. So anyway, guys, if you guys like this video, especially you Georgia fans out there, let me know below the comment section, and give me your who do you think is going to be a breakout player? Let me know below the comment section below. We can definitely hash that out in the comment section. So anyway, guys, that is all I have for you guys today. This is Gen 716. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.